Welcome to the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for April 13th. This is Gina McGuire. Over the last week, we've seen significant amounts of precipitation, mainly over the western half and southern half of Nevada, with well above normal precipitation for this week of the year. However, over the rest of the northern and eastern side of the Great Basin, any precipitation that has fallen has been very light and well below normal. Looking at the water vapor satellite image for today, we have an area of low pressure off the Pacific Northwest coast, which will move eastward, and this will bring plenty of stronger winds and precipitation to most areas of the Great Basin, along with cooler weather this week. Looking at the ventilation index for today, with these stronger winds moving in, we will see good dispersion across most of the Great Basin. Looking at the individual components, the transport winds on the left, and you can see these breezy winds, especially over western and northern Nevada and on the eastern side of the state, but still good wind flow across really all of the Great Basin, along with relatively high mixing heights. If we move into Thursday, this area of low pressure now moves into the northwest and the western side of the basin, bringing showers across really most areas of the Great Basin, generally on the lighter side, but also winds will be very strong, and the ventilation index will remain quite high with good dispersion. The transport winds image on the left shows these stronger winds, and the winds really do increase. We'll see gusts above 40 or 45 miles per hour today and tomorrow and really into Friday over at least some areas of the Great Basin. Also, mixing heights will remain relatively high, however will start to decrease over the northwest side of the state. Now looking into Friday, this area of low pressure drops south and moves over the central and eastern portion of the Great Basin, and this will provide the strongest winds on Friday over the eastern half of Nevada into Utah and Idaho, with again good dispersion and still plenty of wet weather. Looking into the transport winds, image on the left, and you can see these very strong winds on Friday over southern and eastern Nevada into western Utah. Looking at the southern portion of the Great Basin, we have at least had some recent moisture, but still this wind flow will be significant for these areas. Also, mixing heights with these stronger winds will remain very high, and again we're looking at very good dispersion and a high clearing index across the state of Utah as we move from Wednesday through Friday. However, we will see some decrease over the southeastern portion of the state as we move into Friday. Looking at the overall forecast amounts of precipitation through early Saturday morning, and you can see generally good amounts of precipitation over the northern half of the Great Basin, especially across Utah, western Wyoming into the central Idaho mountains, with much lesser precipitation over northern Nevada and mainly drier conditions over southern Nevada. There may be some very light showers, but really most of the precipitation is going to be focused further north with those stronger winds down south. By Saturday, this area of low pressure moves over the Four Corners area, with a ridge of high pressure now starting to build over the western side of the Great Basin. We still do have decent northerly flow around this low, even on the western side, so relatively dispersion will remain good. However, will start to decrease over parts of western and northern Nevada into Idaho as these weaker winds move in with this ridge of high pressure. We will still keep showery activity and unsettled weather across Utah on both Saturday and into Sunday under this area of low pressure. Further west, drier conditions will emerge. As we move into Monday and Tuesday, this low becomes a little bit more dispersed and still over the Rocky Mountain area into the eastern side of the Great Basin with some showery conditions and even some easterly wind flow over western areas of the Great Basin, which will still keep ventilation indices somewhat on the higher side. As we move into Tuesday, this ridge of high pressure now starts to move across the Great Basin, and we will start to see some drier weather on the eastern side of Utah after several days of showery activity. Looking at the precipitation forecast from Saturday through early Monday, and again you can see the precipitation amounts generally focused across the eastern half of Utah into the Rocky Mountain area. Looking at the longer range outlook, this takes us into April 20th to April 26th. We're looking at above normal temperatures and generally near normal precipitation across most of the Great Basin, which would bring some showery activity, however drier conditions up in the far north. That concludes our briefing for today. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Thank you for listening.